Smoke filled the air. The sky was dark with ash. The ground was shaking from explosions. On a destroyed battlefield, one alien girl was still standing. Her name was Rinale. Her armor was cracked. Her arms were shaking. One side of her face was bleeding. But she refused to fall. All around her were the bodies of her people, her squad, her friends, even her older brother. The enemy had come with machines, fire, and no mercy. Her race had been pushed back to this last outpost, and now, even that was lost. Rinale held her blade tightly. It was glowing faintly with her energy, but her power was almost gone. Her legs felt heavy. Her vision was blurry. She had no more grenades. No backup, no escape. But still, she stood. One enemy soldier stepped toward her, laughing. He was bigger than her, wearing black armor with a red visor. "Well, look at this," he said. "One little alien girl still standing. You should have run when you had the chance." Rinale didn't answer. She charged forward with a scream, slashing her blade. She moved too fast for a dying girl. She cut him across the chest, but another soldier grabbed her arm and threw her to the ground. More of them came. 5, no, 7. They circled her. One kicked her side. Another grabbed her by the hair. "Let's finish her," one growled. "She's just a weakling now." Rinale coughed blood but laughed. "Then hurry up," she said. "I'll still die with pride." They raised their guns. Suddenly, bang! A loud gunshot echoed across the battlefield. One of the enemy soldiers fell, shot through the head. The others turned quickly, confused. Who? Bang! Bang! 2 more dropped. From the smoke, a shadow walked forward. Slow, steady. A figure in dark green armor, holding a large rifle. It was a human soldier. The enemies opened fire, but the human rolled, aimed, and fired again. Each shot hit with deadly precision. He moved like lightning, ducking behind broken walls, switching weapons like a machine. Within seconds, all the soldiers were down. Only Rinale and the human remained. She tried to sit up but collapsed. Her body wouldn't listen anymore. The human walked over, lowered his gun, and looked down at her. His face was dirty, with a small scar on his cheek. He was breathing hard, but his eyes were calm. "You fought well," he said. Rinale looked at him, confused. Why are you helping me?" she asked in a weak voice. The human knelt beside her. "Because you're not alone anymore." Then everything went black. The battlefield was silent again. Only the wind moved through the broken metal and smoke. The human lifted her carefully and carried her toward the trees. A drone flew low above them. He looked up and fired a single shot, bringing it down before it could alert others. He placed her behind a fallen tree and checked her wounds. She had burns, cuts, and a broken rib, but she was still alive. "Stubborn girl," he whispered. "You didn't give up, even when the whole world turned against you." She groaned softly, half awake. "My people, they're gone." He looked at her and said nothing. He had seen the same thing on other planets. War always looked the same no matter the race or the reason. Rinale reached out and grabbed his wrist weakly. "Why? Are you here?" she asked again. The human gave a tired smile. "Because I heard your scream, and I didn't want it to be the last sound you ever made." In the distance, more enemies moved in formation. The battle wasn't over. But something had changed. One alien warrior had survived. And now she had someone fighting beside her, not for money, not for orders, but because he chose to. The human looked up at the sky. Ash was still falling like dark snow. He held his rifle tighter and whispered to the wind, "I won't let her die here. Not today." Rinale opened her eyes to the sound of gunfire. She was being dragged across the dirt. Her vision swayed blurred trees, flashing lights, and the strong arm of someone pulling her fast. Her ears rang, her chest burned. And still he didn't stop. "Stay awake. the human's voice said sharply. "If you black out now, I'm not carrying you twice." She tried to speak but coughed instead. Blood ran from her mouth. Her body was broken, weak, yet somehow she was alive. Behind them, the battlefield roared again. Enemy reinforcements had returned. They were angry. Their scout team had been wiped out, and now they were hunting. "Why are you helping me?" Rinal whispered weakly. The human didn't answer. He was too busy reloading his rifle, keeping one eye on the trees behind them. His armor was scratched and burned. His hands were steady. His face was hard, but not cruel. They reached a broken shuttle half buried in the mud. It was large enough to hide in, but useless for flight. The door was barely hanging. He kicked it open and dragged her inside. "You'll be safe here for now," he said, setting her down gently. She looked at him, eyes full of confusion. "You're a human soldier," she said through clenched teeth. "We're not allies. Why are you doing this?" He finally turned to face her directly. For a long moment he said nothing. Then calmly he replied, "Because I couldn't let you die, that's all." Outside, the sound of footsteps and drones grew louder. Inside, Rinal tried to sit up but winced in pain. She had never seen a human in real life before, only in battle reports and warnings. They were known to be cold, brutal, emotionless. But this one was different. He checked her wounds quickly. "You've got a cracked rib, maybe two. That leg's burned, and you lost too much blood," she hissed. "I don't need your help," he looked her in the eye. "That's a lie. You need me, and I need you if I want to make it out alive." She stared at him. "You're not supposed to be here. This isn't your war." The human gave a small smile. "I disobeyed orders. Heard your distress call. Your people were already gone when I arrived. You came for me?" "Didn't plan to," he said. "But once I saw you fighting alone, I couldn't walk away." Rinal turned her head, ashamed. "They left me, my own command. Said I was too injured to be useful." "You were still fighting when I found you," he replied. "That means something." Suddenly, a mechanical beep echoed nearby. The human froze. "Get down," he whispered. He peeked through the broken hull. A drone floated by, small, fast, and armed. Its red eyes scanned the wreckage. The human lifted his pistol slowly, waited, pop. The drone dropped like a stone, but it was too late. A second one had already spotted them and triggered an alarm. The human cursed and grabbed Rinal's hand. "Time to move. I can't run. That I'll carry you." "No," she said, her voice hardening. "I'll walk." He watched her slowly rise, wobbling on her feet. Her jaw was tight, her body trembling. But her eyes were sharp now. "I'm not dying on the ground like an animal," she said. Together, they moved through the burning forest. He shot while she limped, covering each other like trained partners. Even though they had only just met, the enemy wasn't far behind. Loud roars echoed in the trees. Someone was commanding the hunt. "They want you alive," the human muttered. "That's bad, real bad." Rinal looked at him. "Why?" "Because it means you're more important than you've told me." She didn't answer. As night began to fall, they stopped inside a ruined bunker to rest. He lit a small flare. She looked at him through the dim red light. "You never told me your name," she said. He sat down beside her and replied, "Call me Dax." "And why did you really save me, Dax?" He looked at her for a long moment, then said, "Because I've been alone too. And I know how it feels when no one comes." It began with a cold wind and the sudden sound of metal wings slicing the air. Dax froze. Rinal looked up weakly. "What is it?" she whispered. He didn't answer. He just grabbed his rifle, stood slowly, and listened. Buzz, click, whir. Not one. Not two. Dozens of drones were coming, a full hunter sweep. "They found us," Dax said quietly. "And they brought friends." Rinal's heart pounded. She tried to stand, but her burned leg gave out. She grabbed a wall for support. Dax was already packing supplies, fast, silent, controlled. They'll be on us in 2 minutes. We need to move now. We can't outrun drones, Rinal said. We're not going to, he replied. We're going to trick them. He pulled a silver disc from his pack, small, blinking. He tossed it out the broken window and activated it. Decoy beacon, he explained. It'll make them think we're running west. And we're not? She asked. No, we're heading underground. He kicked open a metal hatch hidden under debris. A tight tunnel led down into darkness. A maintenance shaft, he said. Old, but should get us close to the canyon ridge. Rinal stared at the hole. You want us to crawl into that? You want to get shredded by drones? She sighed and dropped down first, sliding into the black tunnel. Dax followed, sealing the hatch behind them just as the first drone scanned the bunker. From above. Inside, the tunnel was cold and wet. Pipes hissed. The walls creaked. They moved fast. Rinal limped, but Dax kept her steady, holding her arm when needed. She asked, Why do you know these tunnels? He gave a short laugh. Because I've been here before, a long time ago. This place was supposed to be peaceful once. They kept walking in silence. The only sound was the soft splash of boots in shallow water and the distant hum of machines far above. Suddenly, a loud metal clang echoed ahead. Dax raised his rifle. Rinal tensed. Was that one of them? No, he whispered. Something else. They moved carefully toward the sound and found a large side room. Inside was a broken security drone, ripped apart, not shot, not melted, torn open with claws. Rinal stepped closer, eyes wide. Something did this recently. Dax scanned the ceiling. We're not the only ones down here. They kept moving. The tunnel grew darker. The map in Dax's wristpad blinked red. No signal. The walls began to close in tighter. The air smelled like rust and something worse. Like blood. Then they heard it. Scratching. Heavy breathing. Something was following them. Don't look back. Dax whispered. Rinal didn't. But she could. Feel it. Something crawling just behind them in the shadows. Something large, waiting. Almost there, Dax said, moving faster. Just a little more. Suddenly the floor beneath them collapsed. They fell hard, crashing into the lower tunnel. Rinal gasped in pain. Dax groaned. You okay? My shoulder. She winced. I think it's dislocated. Dax helped her sit up. We don't have time to fix it. She nodded. Then leave me. No, he said sharply. I don't leave people. From above, the creature sniffed into the hole. Rinal's eyes widened. What is that? I don't know, Dax said, aiming his gun. But it's hungry. Suddenly, a loud shriek echoed, and the creature dropped into the tunnel with them. It was huge, skin like burned metal, glowing red eyes, fangs dripping black slime. Dax fired. The creature lunged. The fight was fast and brutal. Dax rolled, dodged, shot again and again. The creature kept coming. Rinal, despite the pain, grabbed a broken pipe and slammed it into the beast's back. It screeched and turned. Dax used the moment to shoot it. In the throat 3 times, the beast dropped. Breathing hard, they both stared at it. Rin, single quotes, Al whispered. That wasn't a drone. No, Dax said. That was something worse. And now, everything above knows where we are. Alarms echoed in the distance. Red lights began to flash in the tunnel. Dax turned to her. We're running again. Rinal took a deep breath, stood and nodded. No more hiding, she said. Let's end this. The air smelled like burning wires and old blood. Dax and Rinal stood at the edge of a broken lift shaft, breathing hard, covered in dirt. And black creature slime. Above them, fire. Behind them, drones. Below them, darkness. There's no way up, Dax said, checking his rifle. Only down. Renal's shoulder was still dislocated. Her arm hung useless, but her eyes were sharp. Then we go down. Dax looked at her. You trust me that much now? She gave a weak smile. I don't trust you. I trust your aim. He smirked. Close enough. They jumped. They landed hard on old steel, surrounded by thick smoke and strange growling sounds. The area was a forgotten furnace room walls covered in glowing red heat coils and strange, alien markings the moment. They landed, something moved in the shadows. Dax turned his rifle quickly. We're not alone. Renal looked around. The creature from before was dead, but others had followed the scent. From the corners of the room, eyes opened. Not drones. Not soldiers, creatures. Feral. Hungry. Dozens. They crawled from vents, walked along the walls. Their mouths opened slowly, showing too many teeth. Renal whispered, They've been feeding down here. And we just stepped onto their plate. Dax muttered. He fired the first shot. Then the room exploded into chaos. Creatures screamed. Metal burst. Fire sprayed from broken pipes. Dax moved like a ghost, blasting enemies, ducking behind fallen vents. Renal, even injured, grabbed a heavy chain and swung it like a whip, knocking one beast into fire, but they were outnumbered. A large creature leapt onto Dax's back. He rolled, slammed it against a wall, but his rifle flew out of reach. Renal picked up a metal bar and charged, slamming it into the creature's skull, saving him. It fell. Dax stared at her, surprised. You saved me, he said. She breathed hard. You sound surprised. I didn't think you'd swing that hard with one arm. I'm angry, she replied. They burned my home. After 10 long minutes, the creatures lay dead. Smoke filled the furnace room. Sparks flew from the walls. Renal collapsed to one knee. We need to rest. Dax nodded, walking over. Hold still. She looked up, confused. Why? He grabbed her arm. Because I'm popping your shoulder back in. Her eyes widened. Wait, Pop. She screamed, then gasped and moved her arm slightly. It works, she whispered. Dax smiled. Told you. They sat in silence near a vent, catching their breath. The heat from the furnace made the air thick, but it was safe for now. You know, Renal said slowly, my people. We're taught that humans are cold killers. Some of us are, Dax replied, but not all. Why are you different? He didn't answer at first. Then he spoke softly, because I lost someone once, and no one came to help. I swore I'd never be that person. She looked at him differently, now not just as a soldier, but as a man who chose to stay. Suddenly, Dax's communicator buzzed. He looked at it. Encrypted signal. Unknown source. He tapped the screen. A robotic voice said, To all enemy forces, the target has royal blood. Capture her alive. Use any means necessary. Renal froze. Dax looked at her. Royal blood? She didn't reply. Renal. Who are you? She turned her head, ashamed. I didn't want to lie. I just didn't want to be treated like something special. Too late for that, Dax said. They know, and they're coming. Suddenly, the wall behind them exploded. An elite enemy soldier stepped through the fire. His armor was black and gold. His helmet bore the crest of Renal's enemy clan. He pointed a massive energy spear at her. Princess Renal, he said coldly, your time is over. Dax stood in front of her. Wrong, he said, loading his last clip. She's just getting started. Asterisk, the golden-armored enemy stepped through the burning hole like a shadow of death. Renal's legs locked in fear. Her heartbeat pounded like thunder. She knew him, Commander Vorthan, the warlord who killed her father, the one who now hunted her for power. You should not be alive, he said, voice cold and deep. You were meant to die with your people. Dax stepped forward, putting himself between them. She's not dying today, he said, leveling his rifle. Vorthan tilted his head. A human? He laughed, slow and cruel. How strange. They send one soldier to guard a broken princess. She's not broken, Dax said, and I'm not leaving. Vorthan raised his energy spear. Before he could charge, Rinal. Eyes locked on something. A wall behind Dax had partially collapsed from the explosion. Inside it, something glowed. A stone altar. Ancient and covered in dust. Something was resting on top a weapon, a long curved blade shimmering with blue. Light, humming with strange energy. Her breath caught. I've seen that before, she whispered. In my people's legends. Dax glanced at her. What is it? She stepped toward it slowly. Her hand trembled. A sword forged only for royal blood, she said. It only awakens for the rightful heir. Princess. Vorthan hissed. Let her try, Dax said. Rinal reached out. The moment her fingers touched the sword, it lit up like a star. Blue fire danced along its edge. Strange symbols glowed up her arm. The entire room trembled. Even Vorthan took a step back. She gripped the hilt tightly. No more running, she said. With a cry, she swung the blade toward Vorthan. He blocked with his spear, but the weapon burned. His armor slicing through the gold like paper. Dax opened fire. Driving the commander back, Rinal moved like lightning, her pain forgotten, her energy renewed. Every slash of the sword sent shockwaves. Sparks flew. Flames danced. Vor then growled. That weapon is not yours to carry. She screamed back. It always was. The fight was brutal. Dax and Rinal worked together, one firing, the other striking. They drove Vorthan into retreat. He vanished into the smoke, injured and angry. But he wasn't defeated. He left a final message behind, echoing through a drone. Run if you want. Hide in tunnels, but the next time I come, I bring your sister's head. Rinal froze. Dax turned to her. You have a sister? She nodded slowly, eyes full of fear. And if he finds her, he'll use her to force me to surrender. Silence. Return to the furnace room. Only the glowing sword remained bright. Rinal looked down at it, her hands still shaking. I didn't think it would choose me, she said. Dax placed a hand on her shoulder. It didn't choose you by accident. You earned it. She looked up at him, softer now. Thank you. For staying, he smiled. Didn't I tell you? You're not alone anymore. They began moving again toward the old canyon tunnels. Behind them, the ancient sword hummed with light. Ahead of them, war waited. But now Rinal was no longer a lost warrior. She was a princess with a purpose and a human by her side, who would never leave her behind. The wind howled through the canyon tunnels like a dying animal. Dust blew over sharp rocks. The moon above was red, a hunter's moon. Dax and Rinal stood at the edge of a broken cave wall, staring down at a small outpost nestled below. It was dark. Silent, too silent. Rinal gripped her ancient sword tightly. That's the old rebel safe house, she whispered. She might be hiding there. Dax lowered his binoculars. Then we go together, quiet, fast, no mistakes. But as they turned to move, boom, the earth shook. A distant roar echoed from the cliffs. It was deep, low, not a machine. Something was alive. They both froze. What was that? Rinal asked, her voice tight. Dax didn't answer at first. Then he said softly, That's not a creature. That's a message. A message? He looked at her. That roar says, Run if you want. But I will find you. They moved quickly down the rocky slope. The safe house door was half buried in stone. Dax pushed it open slowly. Inside, a dusty room, crates, old supplies, and signs of struggle. Scratched walls. Blood on the floor. But no bodies. Someone was here, Dax said. Recently. Rinal picked up a piece of torn cloth. Her eyes widened. This is my sister's. Suddenly, a loud thud shook the walls, followed by another and another. Thud. Thud. Footsteps, heavy, getting closer, then a low growl. Wet, guttural. Dax's hand tightened around his rifle. It's here. From outside the bunker door. Something sniffed, the scent of blood. Of prey. Rinno backed away, gripping her sword. What is it? Dax's voice was low. It's called a void beast. I've only seen one before. It killed an entire squad in under 2 minutes. How do we stop it? We don't, he said. We slow it down. And run. The door burst inward. A massive creature stepped inside, black flesh like stone. Arms long and clawed, jaws wide with rows of teeth. Its eyes glowed like dying stars. It roared a sound so loud the ceiling cracked. Rinal screamed and charged. Dax, fired. The fight began. The void beast swung its arms, smashing walls and throwing crates. Rinal's blade struck its chest but bounced off. Only the glowing part of her sword burned into its skin. Dax rolled and threw a grenade. Fire burst behind the monster. It stumbled, roared again. Rinal leapt onto its back and drove her sword into its neck. It screamed, loud, angry, dying, and crashed to the floor. Silence. Returned. The ground still shook from the beast's fall. Dax looked at Rinal. She was bleeding, her armor cracked again, but her eyes were clear. You okay? He asked. She nodded. It wasn't the first monster I've faced. He gave her a quiet smile. But it was the first you didn't face alone. From the shadows, a quiet voice called out, Rin? They both turned. A young alien girl, hiding behind metal crates. Her clothes were torn, but her face was familiar. Rinal gasped. Isla. She ran forward and wrapped her arms around her sister. You're alive, she whispered. I hid when the soldiers came, Isla said, crying. I was so scared. I thought you were gone. I'm here now, Rinal said. And we're leaving together. Dax stepped forward and offered the girl water. She took it with shaking hands. You're her protector? Isla asked. He looked at Rinal. Then said, No, she's her own protector. I'm just the guy lucky enough to fight beside her. But before they could rest, Dax's wrist pad blinked. New signal. This is Commander Vorthan. The princess has chosen to resist. Very well. Release the hunter squads. Burn the valley. They all looked at each other. Raynell stood slowly, sword still glowing in her hand. No more hiding, she said. This ends tonight. The sky was burning. Ships screamed overhead like falling stars. The valley below lit up with fire. Black smoke rose where villages once stood. And at the heart of it all stood Rin single quotes A.L. Her sword pulsed with blue light in her hand. Her sister Isla hid behind her. And beside her, silent and ready, stood Dax, the human who chose not to run. They both stared up at the ridge where Commander Vorthan's army gathered dozens of soldiers, flying drones, flame tanks, and behind them, the commander himself in shining gold armor. The signal came through Dax's wrist. Come once more. You have one chance, princess. Surrender your blade. Surrender your sister, or we erase this land. Rinal didn't flinch. Instead, she turned to Dax. I'm scared, she admitted. But I won't run. He looked at her and said, softly, Good, because we stand together. They climbed to the top of the ridge. The army laughed when they saw them, just one girl and one human soldier. But then, the wind shifted. From the hills behind, movement began. Figures in torn armor, survivors, aliens from burned villages, hidden warriors once thought lost, rebels who had waited for a sign. They came out, dozens of them. Some held old weapons. Others carried nothing but farming tools. But they came. Because Rinal had risen, and they would rise with her. Vorthan's laugh stopped. He stepped forward, furious. You dare bring farmers and beggars to fight me? He shouted. This is a joke. Rinal raised her sword. No, she said. This is a beginning. She pointed the blade forward. For my father. For my people. For everyone you called worthless. Dax aimed his rifle beside her. Let's end this. The battle exploded. Dax moved like lightning, taking down drones and snipers. Raynell fought at the front, her sword slicing through Vorthan's elites. Her rebels followed, screaming her name. Even Isla helped, dragging wounded to safety, throwing stones, calling out warnings. It was chaos. But it was hopeful chaos. Because for the first time in a long time, the people had a leader again. Then came the final fight. Vorthan met Raynell in the center of the battlefield. "You think you're special because of that blade?" he growled. "You're nothing." Raynell didn't answer. She just fought. Steel clashed. Sparks flew. His spear cut her cheek. Her sword burned through his chest plate. They pushed each other to the edge of exhaustion. Then, in one final move, she flipped over his strike and drove her blade deep into his chest. He gasped and fell. The battlefield went quiet. Then, one by one, the rebels cheered. Raynell stood over the body of the man who had destroyed her people and said nothing, because victory needed no words. Later, under the rising sun, Dax sat with her on a hill. She held her sister's hand. Her sword now rested in the dirt beside her. "You could have left," she told Dax, "but you stayed." He smiled. "I said I wouldn't leave you alone. I meant it." Raynell looked at the new camp being built below. Her people, free now, building something new. "We were broken," she said. "But now, we're rising again." He nodded. "Together." She turned to him. "Will you stay?" she asked. Dax didn't hesitate. "I already have."